Sebastian Hale never believed that silence could be so loud. Yet that morning, it echoed around him like an empty hallway. St. Aurelia European Academy was always alive at 8 a.m. Students laughing, lockers slamming, footsteps echoing against the marble floors. But all Sebastian could hear was the fading echo of Amelia Novak's voice from last night. "I'm sorry, Sebastian. I can't do this anymore." Her words had been soft, almost trembling, but for Sebastian, they felt like steel slicing right through his chest. He replayed the moment again and again as he walked through the academy courtyard, the autumn wind brushing against his coat, carrying the scent of wet leaves and cold stone. He had spent months with her, long conversations under the courtyard lights, notes exchanged during boring lectures, shared coffee cups during morning breaks. He thought they were becoming something real. But last night, Amelia's eyes didn't hold the warmth they once had. Instead, they held distance, guilt, confusion, and something else, something that felt like goodbye. Sebastian wasn't stupid. He had seen the way she looked at Darius Volkov, the Academy's golden boy. Tall, athletic, arrogant, and loved by everyone who cared about attention more than substance. Darius could make crowds cheer with a single grin. Teachers praise him with a single answer. Girls blush with a single compliment. Sebastian knew he couldn't compete with that. Or at least he thought he couldn't. Because nobody knew who Sebastian really was. Not yet. He looked down at the simple black jacket he wore, cheap, plain, forgettable. His backpack was worn. His shoes were scuffed. He blended in, invisible among the elite students of St. Aurelia. And that's exactly how he wanted it. Or at least how he used to want it. Until Amelia. As Sebastian entered the hallway, groups of students whispered around him. He didn't look at them, but he could feel it. Eyes following him, curious glances, muffled giggles. He already knew why. He didn't want to believe it, but every whisper confirmed it. Amelia had chosen Darius. He stopped at his locker, the cold metal numb under his fingers. He opened it slowly, pretending he couldn't hear the two girls whispering behind him. "Did you see Amelia with Darius yesterday?" "I knew it. She and Sebastian were never gonna last. Poor guy. He's just ordinary." Ordinary. A word that should have meant nothing. But today, it cut deeper than anything Amelia had said. He closed his locker gently, forcing himself to stay calm as he stepped away. The last thing he wanted was to make a scene. He never did. But fate had other plans. As he turned the corner, he froze. Amelia stood right there, her soft brown hair tied loosely behind her, her warm hazel eyes lifted toward him for a moment, before dropping in guilt. And beside her, Darius Volkov, hand on her waist, pulling her close, smirking. Sebastian felt something hollow expand inside his chest. He tried to walk past them, pretending he didn't see anything. But Darius, loud and confident as always, couldn't resist. "Sebastian," he called out, his voice dripping with fake friendliness. "Brother, no hard feelings, yeah?" Sebastian stopped, slowly turned. His gray eyes were calm, too calm. Amelia stepped forward, her voice soft. "Sebastian, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen like this." He stared at her, not angrily, not bitterly, just with a sadness that made her look away. "You didn't hurt me, Amelia," he said quietly. "You just showed me who I was to you." Her lips parted, as if she wanted to explain, but she didn't. Because she couldn't. Darius chuckled. "Well, you can't blame her, Hale. A girl needs someone who's actually noticed, you know? Someone who matters." Sebastian's jaw tightened, barely, but enough for Amelia to notice. Her eyes softened in regret. "Darius," she whispered sharply, tugging his sleeve, "stop." But Darius didn't. He leaned closer to Sebastian, lowering his voice. "Look, you're nice. But this academy isn't built for guys like you." Sebastian said nothing. Because nothing needed to be said. As he walked away, Amelia's eyes followed him, filled with something she couldn't name. Regret, guilt, confusion, maybe all three. Sebastian stepped outside into the crisp morning air, exhaling slowly as he walked across the stone courtyard. He sat on a bench near the fountain, watching the sunlight reflect off the water. His fingers trembled slightly, not from weakness, but from holding everything inside. He wasn't angry, just disappointed. Not in Amelia, not even in Darius, but in himself, for believing he could be loved for who he was while hiding who he truly was. Because behind the plain clothes, behind the quiet personality, behind the normal life he pretended to have, Sebastian Hale was anything but ordinary. He was the hidden son of the Hale Consortium, one of the wealthiest and most powerful European families. Owners of global banks, private islands, luxury brands, and tech empires. He was worth more than the entire Academy's annual budget. But no one knew. Not even Amelia. He hid everything to live a normal life, to find someone who liked him for the person, not the fortune. But today, watching Amelia walk away, he wondered if that was a mistake. Maybe people like him weren't meant for normal love. Maybe honesty wasn't enough when you didn't shine bright enough for others to see. Maybe blending in meant being forgotten. And maybe it was time for everyone, including Amelia, to finally learn who he really was. Sebastian looked at the Academy building one last time before standing up. His eyes no longer held sadness. Only resolve. Only truth. Only the beginning of a story Amelia would never forget. Sebastian Hale had always believed that choices define people. But he never imagined that one choice would change everything he felt about Amelia Novak. The afternoon bell rang, and the Academy hallways filled with chatter, footsteps, and the occasional slam of lockers. But Sebastian didn't hear any of it. His mind was still replaying the moment he saw her. Standing next to Darius Volkov, the most popular boy in St. Aurelia Academy. It wasn't the sight of them together that shattered him. It was the way Amelia looked at Darius. Like he was a world she suddenly wanted to belong to. And Sebastian? He was just a chapter she was finished reading. He walked slowly down the hallway, blending into the background just as he always had. Students brushed past him, never noticing, never stopping. But today they noticed a different pair. Amelia and Darius walked together as if the hallway belonged to them. Darius walked confidently, his arm casually draped around Amelia's shoulders. Amelia didn't push him away. She didn't look uncomfortable. She didn't look back. Not even once. It was that tiny detail that hurt Sebastian the most. As Sebastian reached the end of the hall, a familiar laugh echoed behind him. Amelia's laugh. He froze. He didn't want to turn around, but his heart betrayed him before she ever did. He did. There she was, glowing in a way he had never seen before. Or maybe she was always like that, and he had been too blinded by hope to notice. Darius stood beside her, leaning against a locker, flashing that charming, arrogant smile that had won half the school already. Sebastian watched as Darius tucked a strand of Amelia's hair behind her ear. That tiny gesture, so intimate, so confident, was the moment Sebastian finally understood. She didn't slip away. She chose to walk away. And she chose him. Before Sebastian could move, two students walked by whispering. "Did you hear? Amelia dumped Sebastian yesterday." "Well, obviously. Darius is like the king of the Academy. I mean, who wouldn't pick Darius? He's handsome, athletic, rich. Sebastian's just normal. Just normal." He'd always preferred being unnoticed. But now, hearing it like that, cold, blunt matter of fact, it pierced deeper than he expected. He turned to leave, hoping to disappear before anyone else noticed him. But fate wasn't on his side today. "Sebastian." His heart stopped. Amelia's voice. He slowly turned. Amelia stepped toward him with an expression he couldn't read. Guilt, maybe, or discomfort. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. Sebastian stared at her for a long moment. "Talk about what?" he said calmly. Too calmly. She hesitated. "About yesterday. About us." "There is no us, Amelia," he replied. She flinched. Darius raised an eyebrow, watching them with boredom and amusement. Amelia swallowed hard. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said softly. "You didn't hurt me," Sebastian replied. "You just showed me where you'd rather be." "And with who?" His eyes shifted briefly toward Darius. Darius smirked. "I mean, don't take it personally, Hale," Darius said, stepping forward. "Not everyone can be the star. Some of us shine brighter than others." Sebastian didn't react. He didn't need to. But Amelia did. "Darius, stop," she whispered urgently, touching his arm. "Please." He ignored her. "It's not your fault," Darius continued, looking Sebastian up and down. "Girls like her want someone exciting. Popular. Not someone who blends in with the walls." Sebastian held his gaze, unflinching. Then he said one simple line. The line Amelia would remember forever. "If blending in means being forgotten," he whispered, "then choosing him makes sense." Amelia's eyes softened with immediate regret. "Sebastian, that's not fair," she whispered. "Neither was the way you left," he replied. For a moment, the hallway fell silent. Even the loudest students paused to listen. Amelia bit her lip, voice trembling. "I didn't choose him because he's popular," she said. I don't know anymore. Sebastian looked into her eyes. Eyes he once believed held sincerity. Maybe, he said gently. You chose him because you didn't see what you had. Amelia felt tears rising. Darius scoffed, rolling his eyes. Sebastian turned away before she could say anything more. He didn't want explanations. Not now. Not from someone who'd already made her choice. As he walked out of the hallway, Amelia watched him leave, her heart twisting in a way she didn't understand. Because even though she stood beside the most popular guy in the academy, the emptiness she felt inside didn't make sense. Darius slipped his arm around her again. You okay? He asked casually. Amelia forced a smile. Yeah, she whispered. But her eyes stayed fixed on the door Sebastian had just walked through. Because deep down, she knew she had chosen popularity. But in doing so, she had lost something real. Something gentle. Something rare. Someone who saw her beyond the surface. Someone who would never treat her like a trophy. Someone who had loved her quietly. And maybe, that quiet love was worth more than all of Darius's attention. But choices have consequences. And Amelia was about to learn hers. Sebastian Hale's footsteps echoed through the quiet marble hallway of St. Aurelia Academy as he left the chaos of the school behind. The cold air outside brushed against his face, but nothing could cool the storm inside his chest. The world saw him as a quiet boy. A nobody. The guy no one paid attention to unless they needed help with homework. But the world didn't know him. Not really. Not the version that existed behind locked doors, guarded identities, and a truth so heavy it could break the ordinary life he had built piece by piece. He didn't want to think about Amelia. Not about her laugh, or her smile, or the way she used to lean against his shoulder when she was tired. But every step he took reminded him. She had chosen someone else. She had chosen the popular guy, the loud guy, the easy guy. She had no idea who she walked away from. Not because she didn't care, but because Sebastian never let her see. He walked down the long stone path toward the old iron gates at the edge of the academy. A black luxury sedan waited there, parked almost invisibly in the shade of tall oak trees. The driver, an older man with silver hair, stepped out immediately. Master Sebastian, he said with a respectful bow. Your brother has been waiting. Sebastian sighed softly. Of course he has. He climbed into the back seat, leaning his head against the cold leather. The car door shut with a soft thud, and the moment it did, the world outside felt farther away. The world where he was just another student. Here, inside this car, he was someone else. Someone he had worked so hard to hide. As the vehicle glided through the city streets, Sebastian watched the passing buildings blur into streaks of color. The academy faded behind him, replaced by towering skyscrapers, luxury boutiques, and gleaming corporate signs. Signs with names he knew too well. Hale International. Hale Financial Group. Hale Global Tech. His family's empire. The empire he was born into. 20 minutes later, the car pulled up in front of a private glass skyscraper, the Hale Tower. Journalists lingered near the entrance, hoping to catch a glimpse of anyone famous, but the tinted windows protected Sebastian from every camera. The driver opened the door. Your brother is in the penthouse. Sebastian nodded and stepped out. Every guard he passed bowed respectfully. Every staff member looked twice. Because even if he hid at school, here, his identity needed no introduction. He boarded the private elevator and tapped a finger against the panel. The doors closed and he exhaled, feeling the weight of two worlds pulling at him. The world he lived in, and the world he ran from. When the elevator doors slid open, he stepped into a grand penthouse office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. And there he was, Victor Hale. Older, sharper, confident, the heir the public knew. Victor turned with a faint smile. There you are. I thought you'd try to avoid me again. Sebastian shrugged off his coat. You didn't leave me much choice. Victor raised an eyebrow. You had a rough day at school, I heard. Sebastian froze. Of course you did, he muttered. You probably have half the academy on your payroll. Victor laughed. No, just the headmaster. Sebastian rolled his eyes and sank into the couch. I'm guessing he told you about Amelia. Victor walked toward the bar counter and poured 2 glasses of sparkling water. She chose the Volkov boy, didn't she? Sebastian clenched his jaw. Everyone chooses him, he said quietly. He's visible. Loud. Obvious. Victor handed him the glass and sat across from him. And you think that's why she didn't choose you? Sebastian stayed silent. Victor leaned forward. No, Sebastian. She didn't choose you because she doesn't know you. She has no idea who you are, what you carry, or what you're capable of. Sebastian stared into his glass. That's the point, he whispered. I wanted her to choose me for me, not for this. He gestured around the luxurious penthouse. Victor sighed. You can't live two lives forever, little brother. One day, both worlds will collide. And when they do, you'll have to face the consequences of all the secrets you kept. Sebastian didn't respond. He didn't want to think about consequences. Not tonight. Victor studied him for a moment, then smirked. You know what I think? Sebastian looked up. I think, Victor said slowly, that the real Sebastian Hale, the one who leads boardrooms, not classrooms, is going to rise eventually. And when he does, he sipped his drink. All those people who ignored you will regret it. Sebastian didn't admit it, but a part of him needed to hear that. A part of him needed to feel seen. After a long silence, Sebastian stood and walked toward the window. The city lights shimmered below like stars scattered across the earth. Victor, he said softly, do you think she'll ever look at me differently? If she knew. Victor didn't hesitate. She won't have a choice. Sebastian turned around sharply. That's not what I want. Victor gave a small, understanding smile. No, but it's what will happen. Sebastian looked out the window again. He didn't want Amelia, or anyone, to love him for the name Hale. For the money. For the power. He wanted genuine love. He wanted someone who saw him. Not the empire behind him. But maybe he had been foolish to believe he could hide forever and expect someone to understand a world he never revealed. Maybe hiding had cost him the one girl he ever opened his heart to. Maybe Amelia walked away because he never gave her anything to hold on to. And maybe, just maybe, it was time the world, Amelia included, learned who Sebastian Hale really was. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Soon. The quiet boy was disappearing. A new Sebastian was rising. Not for revenge. Not for pride. But because hiding had finally hurt more than the truth ever could. The next morning at Aurora Academy felt unusually loud. Whispers echoed in the hallways. Students huddled in small circles, murmuring with a strange tension in their voices. Some glanced toward Sebastian as he walked past, quick, nervous looks, like they were seeing him for the first time. He didn't understand why. Normally, he blended into the background. Today, he felt like every eye tracked him. He tightened his grip on his backpack and headed to his locker. Lena was already there waiting. Her face was pale. Seb, you need to know something, she said in a shaky voice. His heartbeat quickened. What happened? She pulled out her phone and turned the screen toward him. A social media video was playing, shaky footage, clearly recorded secretly, showing 3 black cars stopping outside the academy gates late last night. Men in suits stepped out, carrying sealed cases stamped with a very familiar emblem. The emblem Sebastian had spent his entire life trying to hide. The Aldridge crest. Symbol of one of the wealthiest, most powerful families in Europe. The video zoomed in on a tall man stepping out from the center car, his father. The caption below read, Is Sebastian Aldridge really studying in our academy, secretly? Sebastian froze. His lungs turned to ice. His secret wasn't just out. It had exploded. Who posted this? He whispered. Darius's cousin, Lena said bitterly. He works near the embassy. He saw the cars and recognized the crest. Sebastian leaned back against his locker, feeling the world tilt. For years, he had kept his real identity buried. No one at Aurora Academy knew he was heir to a massive fortune, a centuries-old estate, or a multinational empire. He wanted to live like a normal student. Like a normal guy. Not a title. Not a bank account. Not a last name that made people treat him differently. But that normal life shattered overnight. Sebastian. Lena placed a gentle hand on his arm. You need to breathe. He swallowed hard. I have to talk to the headmaster. He didn't make it far. As he stepped into the main hallway, a sudden hush fell over the entire corridor. Dozens of students were staring at him. Not with confusion anymore. With awe. Shock. Curiosity. Some whispered, Is it really him? But he was always so quiet. Why didn't he tell anyone? His family owns half of Europe. Sebastian felt his throat tighten. He hated this. This was exactly what he feared. He took a step back, but someone blocked his path. Amelia. She stood in front of him, breathing hard, eyes wide. Her makeup was still perfect, but her composure was cracked. Like she had seen a ghost. Sebastian, she whispered. Is it true? He couldn't meet her eyes. Amelia, please. Not right now. She stepped closer. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice wavered. We studied together for months. I trusted you. He finally looked at her. And you still left me without hesitation, he said quietly. So what difference would the truth have made? His words hit her like a slap. She blinked, stunned. Sebastian, I didn't know. I didn't know who you really were. He gave a bitter smile. Exactly. Behind her, Darius arrived, smirking confidently. So the rumors are true, Darius said loudly, making sure everyone heard. The quiet kid is actually some billionaire prince. Students snickered. Darius crossed his arms. Tell me, Sebastian, were you hiding it because you were scared no one would like you for you? Sebastian's jaw tightened. He stayed silent. Lena, fed up, stepped between them. Back off, Darius. Darius chuckled. Relax, I'm just curious. I mean, how does it feel, Amelia? He turned to her with a mocking grin. You dumped a nobody, but turns out he's actually the richest guy in the room. A painful flush spread across Amelia's cheeks. Darius, stop, she whispered. But Darius didn't stop. The whole school knows now, he continued loudly. You threw away a golden ticket. The hallway erupted with laughter. Sebastian felt something inside him crack. This wasn't entertainment. This was his life, his privacy, his identity, being used as a joke. He stepped forward, eyes cold and sharper than anyone had ever seen from him. Enough! The hallway fell silent instantly. Darius stepped back in surprise. Sebastian's voice was calm, dangerously calm. You think this is funny? He looked around at everyone. You think my life is something to gossip about? To laugh at? No one spoke. He inhaled slowly. I didn't hide who I was to seem mysterious. I hid it because I wanted to be treated like a person, not a status symbol. His gaze finally fell on Amelia. And now you all proved exactly why I kept it a secret. She swallowed hard, eyes filling with guilt. Sebastian, I'm so sorry. He shook his head. This isn't about you, Amelia. Not anymore. His voice had changed. It carried weight. Authority. Strength. Everyone felt it. Even Darius. For the first time, the Academy saw who Sebastian truly was, not a quiet boy sitting in the back row, but someone who had the presence of a leader, someone born to power, someone they should never have underestimated. He turned away from all of them and walked toward the headmaster's office without looking back. The only sound echoing behind him was the stunned silence of everyone who finally realized. Sebastian Aldridge was not the invisible boy anymore. He was the truth they never saw coming. And this was only the beginning. The atmosphere at Aurora Academy changed overnight. Wherever Sebastian walked, whispers followed. People who never noticed him before suddenly tried to talk to him. Some smiled too brightly. Some offered unnecessary help. Some pretended they had always been close to him. It felt fake. It felt suffocating. But nothing felt heavier than the one person he had been avoiding all day. Amelia Voss. She had been looking for him since morning. He could feel her presence in every hallway, like a familiar shadow he couldn't shake. Lena stuck by his side, intercepting attention like a loyal guard dog. You know she's going to corner you eventually, Lena said as they walked to the courtyard. Sebastian sighed. I know, and you're not ready to talk to her. No, he said quietly. I'm not. Lena squeezed his arm gently. Then I'll buy you time. But even Lena couldn't protect him forever. The moment classes ended, Sebastian stepped outside into the golden afternoon light. And there she was, standing under the old maple tree where they once studied together. The sun flickered through the leaves, lighting her soft blonde hair like a halo. But her eyes, normally confident, were red and glassy. She had been crying. Sebastian, she said in a trembling voice. Please talk to me. He wanted to walk away. But something in her expression stopped him. Not guilt, not pride, not manipulation. But pain. Real pain. He exhaled slowly. What do you want, Amelia? She took a shaky step closer. To explain. To apologize. To fix everything. He looked at her for a long moment. Some things can't be fixed. Her breath hitched. I didn't choose him because I didn't care, she whispered. I chose him because I was stupid. Sebastian felt something twist inside him. Then why? He asked quietly. Why did you leave? Amelia closed her eyes. Tears slipped out. I didn't realize what I had with you, she said. You were so calm, so steady, so good to me. I thought I needed excitement. Attention. Popularity. She shook her head at herself. But Darius doesn't care about me. Not really. I was just convenient. Sebastian stayed silent. Amelia's voice softened. You were the only one who ever listened to me. who noticed things, who remembered what I liked. Her voice cracked. And I threw that away like an idiot. Sebastian swallowed the lump in his throat. Why are you telling me this now? She stepped closer, too close. Because I want you back. The world seemed to stop. Wind rustled through the trees. Far-off laughter faded. Even his heartbeat felt suspended in time. Amelia looked up at him with desperate, glistening eyes. I didn't know who you were, but now that I do, I realize how wrong I was. We could be so good together, Sebastian. I miss you. I miss us. He stared at her, searching her face, searching her intentions. Was this real? Or was this the result of his exposed last name? He stepped back. Amelia, he said quietly, you didn't want me when you thought I had nothing. Her eyes widened with panic. No, that's not, Sebastian, please. You wanted someone popular, he continued, voice steady. Someone who made you look good. That's why you chose him. She shook her head fiercely. That was before I understood what you mean to me. Before I knew. No. His voice was firm, cutting through her excuses. This isn't about my family. Or my money. Or my name. He met her eyes. This is about you. She froze. He took a painful breath. You didn't lose me because I was quiet or normal. You lost me because you didn't value me. Her lip quivered. That's not true, she whispered. Yes, it is, he said softly. You only ran after me when the truth came out. And that isn't love, Amelia. That's regret. She flinched. A soft sob escaped her. Then what can I do? She asked, voice shaking. Tell me what I can do to fix this. Anything. Sebastian looked at her. The girl he once cared for more than she ever realized. A part of him wanted to forgive. Another part still felt broken. But one truth had become painfully clear. She only wanted him now that everyone else wanted him too. He shook his head slowly. You can't fix something you didn't protect when you had it. Tears streamed down her face. She reached out as if to touch his hand, but he stepped back. I'm sorry, Amelia, he said quietly. But you didn't choose me then, and I can't choose you now. For a moment, she looked like her whole world collapsed. Her knees buckled, and she steadied herself against the tree. Sebastian, please. He turned away. The hardest thing he'd ever done. But necessary. Lena appeared at the corner of the courtyard, watching with sad understanding as he walked toward her. As they left, Amelia's soft, broken voice echoed behind him. Sebastian, I still love you. He didn't stop. He didn't look back. Because for the first time, he realized she might have loved him, but she hadn't loved him first. And someone who doesn't choose you in the beginning doesn't deserve you in the end. The days that followed were quiet. Not peaceful, but quiet in a way storms are quiet right before they break. Sebastian walked through the academy with the same calm posture, the same steady eyes. But everything had changed. People stepped aside for him. Teachers spoke with more respect. Students who never remembered his name now greeted him with nervous smiles. He didn't enjoy any of it. He missed anonymity. He missed simplicity. He missed the world where Amelia was just a girl he admired and not a chapter he needed to close. But one thing had become clear. He would no longer shrink himself just to make others comfortable. He was Sebastian Aldridge, and it was time the academy understood what that meant. The assembly. On Friday morning, the headmaster requested all students gather in the auditorium. Whispers echoed everywhere. Is this about the video incident? Is Sebastian going to say something? I heard his father is coming. Sebastian walked in with Lena by his side. No security, no family entourage. Just him. But the weight he carried was enough to silence conversations around him. He took a seat in the second row. Amelia sat 3 rows behind him, eyes fixed on his back, her hands tightly clasped as if holding herself together. The headmaster stepped up to the podium. Students, we have had an incident that disrupted the privacy of one of our own. Sebastian Aldridge's background was revealed without permission. Murmurs rose. Sebastian stood up. Sir, he said calmly, I would like to speak. The headmaster paused, then nodded respectfully. Sebastian walked to the stage. Every pair of eyes followed him. Even the air felt still. He reached the microphone, paused, and looked at the entire room. Not as the quiet boy anymore. As someone who finally understood his worth. You think you know me, he began softly. But you only know my name. A ripple went through the room. I didn't hide who I am because I was ashamed. I hid it because I wanted a life where people saw me, not my family crest. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others listened in stunned silence. I studied here like any other student. I worked hard. I stayed quiet. I minded my own business. His voice deepened. But the moment my last name came out, I stopped being a person to many of you. I became a status, an opportunity, a rumor. He scanned the room slowly. His gaze never lingered on Amelia, but she felt every second of it. I'm still the same Sebastian. I still like quiet corners and old books. I still prefer real conversations over parties. And I still believe people should be valued for who they are, not for what they have. His jaw tightened. But some of you didn't value me until you thought I was valuable. The truth hit the room like cold water. He continued, voice steady. I won't apologize for where I come from. And I won't hide anymore. But I will choose the people in my life more carefully. His eyes briefly shifted toward Lena. And I will choose those who stood by me before the truth came out. A subtle shudder ran across the audience. Sebastian stepped back from the microphone. That's all I needed to say. The auditorium stayed silent for a full 5 seconds. Then, applause. Not fake, clapping for the sake of clapping noise, real applause. Respectful. Understanding. But behind the applause, one person remained completely still. Amelia. Her eyes glistened with realization. Painful, sharp, overwhelming realization. She finally understood what she lost. Not money. Not a status. She lost him. The hallway encounter. After the assembly, people swarmed Sebastian with apologies, compliments, praises. He politely excused himself and stepped into the quiet east hallway. He wanted a breath. A moment. But fate had other ideas. Amelia appeared from behind a pillar, eyes swollen, voice trembling. Sebastian, please. I need to talk to you. He exhaled slowly. Amelia. No. Her voice cracked. Just let me say this. He nodded. She stepped closer, clutching her hands at her chest. You were right, she whispered. Everything you said up there, you were right. Tears spilled silently. I didn't value you when you loved me. I didn't see what you were giving me. I didn't see who you were. She swallowed hard. But now I do. Sebastian met her eyes. Those blue eyes that once made him falter. Now they only felt distant. I know who you are, Sebastian, she said softly. Not the Aldridge heir, but the boy who stayed late to help me study. The boy who listened. The boy who cared without expecting anything. Her voice shook. And losing you, has been the worst pain I've ever felt. Sebastian felt something inside him soften. But not enough. Amelia, he said quietly. I'm not angry anymore. Hope flashed in her eyes. But, he added gently, I'm not yours anymore either. Her breath caught painfully. I wish you had known who I was before, he continued softly. Not after the world told you. A sob escaped her. I know, she whispered. And I'll regret it forever. Sebastian gave a small, sad smile. You don't need to regret it forever. Just long enough to remember what choices cost. She reached for his hand. He stepped back. A soft, final boundary. I'm still finding myself, he said. And I can't do that by going backwards. Amelia wiped her tears, trying to stay composed. Then, this is goodbye? Sebastian nodded. Goodbye, Amelia. He walked past her. Calm, steady, unapologetically himself. And for the first time, Amelia didn't chase him. She simply stood there, watching the boy she once took for granted walk away stronger, colder, wiser. Now she finally knew who he was. And knowing it this late was her greatest heartbreak.